What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark, MovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and I'm back. It's another top 10 list. These are the top 10 horror movies that I saw in 2024. I'm still working towards my top films of the year, but horror had a strong year. I've already released my top 10 documentaries of the year. I wanted to release my top 10 horror movies of the year. Doesn't mean that these horror movies wouldn't be ranked in my top 10. I just actually saw a lot of horror movies I actually liked, which is unusual for me. It's not my favorite genre, but I do think, and a lot of people have said it, this was a strong year for horror. Um, I'm using horror a little bit broadly on a couple titles here, but they do qualify when you really think about it. And I didn't want to like not qualify them because if somebody else thought that that title qualified as horror and then I didn't put it here, so I qualified some titles here, and mostly they're honorable mention titles. So if you're sort of wondering, like, how bad is it? They're kind of in the honorable mentions. I have a couple of honorable mentions here to get out of the way. The worrying is because I'm blind, and if you thought I could remember 20 movies in order, I love you. Click like and subscribe because I love you. I couldn't. So I'm using a computer, which means it's going to speak to me, but I have it down really low. So hopefully it doesn't speak to you. Anyway, honorable mentions. We're not going to talk about these in great detail, but I, I may qualify some of them because true horror fans are going to roll their eyes at a couple of these. Anyway, first honorable mention is Night Bitch. It is, I mean, it is kind of a body horror movie. Anyway, loosely. But yeah. A Quiet Place, Day One. Sting. Alien Romulus. The Piano Lesson. It is a ghost story. Heretic. Love Lies Bleeding. Lisa Frankenstein. Long Legs. And Blink Twice. I think I might have been the only person who actually enjoyed Lisa Frankenstein. But still, it only made my honorable mentions list because this year was killer for horror movies. Like, I really liked Blink Twice, and it still didn't make my top 10. So my top 10 horror movies of the year are kicking it off with number 10. Smile 2. I did not think this was going to happen. I gave the original Smile a C+. This jump scares were obnoxious. Uh, some of them didn't make sense. I just thought it was gore for gore's sake. I thought Parker Finn was just overrated at that point, and I foresaw like the whole movie. Like there wasn't even like a twist coming where I was like, "Ooh, I didn't see that." The basic I gave it a C plus because yeah, the jump scares got me. You know what I'm saying? So like technically, as a scary movie, it did make me uneasy and jump a couple times, but in the kind of I hate myself way, not in like the group the you know. So, but Smile too. When somebody gave him and was like, "Oh, we like the first thing you did. You want to do more?" He was like, "You know what? I do." And actually, I have I have a thought. I'm so glad that he had thoughts because this is a way better movie. Naomi Scott even got like an Astro nomination um, for her performance because she's actually really incredible playing a pop star that's already struggling with an addiction problem who gets thrown into this weird curse. And then we get this whole story about like what is real, what isn't, and she's already sort of having that in her life because of addiction, and we get this backstory, and there's a killer ending to it that I think will help with Smile 3. Audio description was fantastic. All films, by the way, I should have said that at the top. Every film that was on my honorable mentions list and every film that's on my top 10 has audio description. I did not include a single film that does not have audio description available that was created for it. You may have to find it. Just because it's on a streaming service right now doesn't mean that, it may not have it on that streaming service, but it does have it somewhere. So find the VOD platform. Anyway, yeah, I was really surprised that I like this. So number 9, Late Night with the Devil. This is a film that I was really picking up on the vibes. The only problem I ever had, and the only reason why Late Night with the Devil's like number 9, not number 1, is the fact that I just think the whole like angle that it comes at with the found footage, and because of the way the movie ends, didn't work for me. You know, because I was like, who's filming? I was like, who's filming? I just didn't understand it. I was like, who at the end of this is film? Because I like we're presented this thing at the beginning, like we're watching some sort of documentary that's like, this is the lost footage. This is what really happened. And I was like, but who is filming this? Like, it would have worked much better if without the found footage aspect and just producing it as this is the night, you know? Then you can do whatever you want. But and the backstage stuff would have worked better. So yeah, I just wouldn't have done the found footage-ish angle to it. The documentary angle, whatever. Whatever you want to call it. But man, David Dastmalchian, I voted for him a couple times in some places for Best Actor, over some people who are going to get an Oscar nomination because I'm like, he's under-recognized. And if anyone else is loving this performance and voting for him, I would love to see him pop up. So, a character actor makes good, and I love it. Number 8 is Cuckoo. Uh, I was unsettled. I was unnerved. I wasn't always sure what was going on. The audio description was great. This movie is bonkers. This movie's insane. And I'm here for it. Like, I was here for Cuckoo. Even when I wasn't 100% sure what was going on, I was like, I don't understand this movie, but I'm scared. This, um, and the description of the girl, the like screams and stuff. There was some audio description here that's really great. Some really good stuff here for Cuckoo. So, um, yeah, this was a surprise because I'd heard mixed things about it, but this worked for me in all of its weirdness. It let it wash over me. Number 7, it's What's Inside. Yeah, guys, this is technically kind of in the horror genre. I mean, there's some graphic violence in it, and it kind of feels like it's a horror movie. Kind of feels like it's a slasher movie without a slasher. It's very weird. Like, this plays obviously with the genre. The movie has an excellent audio description track. It's got a cool twist to it. It plays around, and I liked it. I liked what this film was. I picked up what this film was putting down. Obviously, you could say it's a lot like, you know, like last year's film where we're all holding the hand. But I don't know. I kind of thought this film had its own thing, did its own twist. Anyway, I liked it, and it's not getting enough time on Netflix. It's not an. I think people get confused about when Netflix makes an original versus when it's like a movie of the week. Like somebody did a review of a movie that I knew was a pickup for them from a film festival, and they did it like they were just bashing like the Netflix movie of the week, and I'm like, this was a Sundance acquisition. Uh, no, this isn't the same thing. I know what you're trying to do because I do the same thing to the movies of the week. Um, but this could have been picked up by anybody, but it was bought by Netflix for awards consideration or whatever. And this was the same thing. This was at Sundance, and Netflix bought it. They didn't make this movie, but it's dying on Netflix because people think it's a movie of the week. Please watch it. Moving up the list. I saw the TV Glow. This has been the number 1 for a couple people. It is in my top 10 horror movies of the year. Could be an honorable mention for me. You don't know. You don't know how many horror movies are in my top or my honorable mentions list. But yeah, it's not the number 1 movie. I'm intrigued. I think Jane Schoenberg's direction here is her original film, her first film, where Let's All Go to the World's Fair. It does not have audio description, so I hadn't been able to appreciate her work as a director before. Whereas like all three of Ari Aster's films have it. Everything Robert Eggers has done has it. So with Jane, this is the first time I've really been able to appreciate her as a director. Um, and I'm excited for what's next. That's what this film gave me, is a what's next. I like performances. I like what it's. I like what it's putting down. I'm not 100% sure. A lot of people say it's just about like Buffy, but I think it has a lot more to do with appointment television than anything else. It's also, this was just, when I saw this, this reminded me a lot of other TV shows that I had where I was watching it with friends, they weren't Buffy. I had that, like I had a friend, we started watching X-Files way back, even before Buffy, like season 1 of X-Files, because our parents would go out and then we'd share a babysitter, and it was always on like a Friday night, which was X-Files night. So we started watching the X-Files, and for a while, like that was our thing, was watching X-Files on Friday night. But it was because of the other thing. And then, but even on nights where it was still a Friday night, like we were watching the X-Files and then we would talk about the X-Files episode that we didn't watch together. I've had similar experiences with other shows. So like I got that experience out of this. It also is very much about, finding yourself, figuring out who you are, in terms of, your place in this world. And I think Jane's going to go on and make some killer films, and I'm excited for that. She may have already made one before this, but this was the first one I had access to. So it's on my list. It's not number 1, don't kill me. Moving up the list. Strange Darling. I loved this. This is a film you should know the twist to go in. Just don't know nothing. Just go into this movie. Know that I recommended it and try to watch this movie. Stop trying to look up what Strange Darling is about. Stop trying to find spoilers. Just go in and watch the damn movie. It's really good. It's funny because the way that I came about this film was because the person who was doing press for it was Giovanni Ribisi, because he's doing the cinematography. So I was listening to interviews and I was like, when do you ever send the cinematographer out to promote the movie? But he was like on podcasts and stuff like that doing interviews, and I was like, that's so unusual. But I guess he was the biggest name, and he was given an opportunity here to be a cinematographer and to talk about it. But his cinematography choices are really interesting, and the audio description actually has an opportunity to capture some of that. So this is a film that'll keep you guessing and on the edge of your seats, and I loved it. Loved it. Still not my number 1 though. Moving up the list. Oddity. I did not know I was gonna like this movie that much. What a weird film. What an unsettling film. The audio description track is here not one of my favorites of the year. There was a point where they, like, the rise in action, it kind of has like a normal narrator that's kind of talking to you like you're just normal, and then when the rise in action, it just kind of starts shouting at you, and I was like, oh my god, calm the fuck down. I was like, I'm all for performative audio description tracks, but Jesus. So, it did kind of come, I was like, don't shout at me. But no, I love the movie, and the main actress was fantastic. I don't know if she's actually blind in real life or playing blind, but I think that's been a question in the blind community: is this real? But yeah, I really liked Oddity, and I have seen Shudder actually made some good films this year, or picked up some good films. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. And they have audio description on the ones that are on this list. They didn't put audio description on some of them. Q. And it's weird because AMC Plus and Shudder, the streaming services, don't support audio description, so I don't know where this audio description is going. I don't know why they won't. It's your own streamer, man. But Jesus Christ. Do you know how many horror fans would love for Shudder to just suddenly just proliferate audio description? Dude, their subscription, like, so many people would subscribe. Anyway, moving up the list. Abigail. Yeah, I really liked Abigail. And you know what's funny? Oh, I should have said it. I Saw the TV Go twice. I've also seen Abigail twice. I really enjoyed this movie. I think Alicia Weir is fantastic in this. And I enjoyed the cast. I This movie worked for me. It's actually a movie that might have been a little bit lower, but then I saw it again and I was like, no, I do actually like this movie because I feel like it's a film where, because it's sort of like with Lisa Frankenstein, where like people didn't quite receive it the same way I received it, where I feel like, I don't know, was it a good movie? I don't know, but I loved it. And this is also a movie where you benefit from knowing the least you know about it, the better. So Abigail is on the list. Moving up the list. This is my number 2 horror film of the year. This is the runner up. And you probably have noticed a couple titles missing. I think you should know what my top 2 are at this point. My number 2 is Nosferatu. Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. Robert Eggers has been a director too for me who I feel like has gotten better with every successive film, sort of like Ari Aster. Um, like I wasn't a huge fan of Hereditary, just like I wasn't a huge fan of The Witch, but I've seen their growth. I see what they're doing, and I see how they keep growing themselves. Like Beau is Afraid is my favorite Ari Aster film. Nosferatu is my favorite Robert Eggers film. But then before this, his last film was, uh, what Nordic Hamlet. I forget the name of it. I thought that was his best work, and then before that, it was like I thought The Lighthouse was better than The Witch. So he constantly seems to be raising the game. This is like just shy of 100 million as of me recording this. So he's gonna have $100 million hit here, and I think it's like the third highest Focus film ever, something like that. It's really high for Focus Features also. So yeah, Nosferatu, the remake. It's my favorite score of the year. I thought Bill Skarsgård did a great job. Definitely, I forgive him for The Crow. Lily Rose Depp, uh, to talk about coming in and just hammering in there, and anybody who's like, Nepo baby, no, she earned that. she's she's legitimately good in this. Nicholas Holt, of course, who was good in a lot of things this year, and the rest of the cast. But yeah, I love Nosferatu, but it's only my number 2. So what's my number 1? Of course, my number 1 is The Substance. And I'm as shocked as you are. Listen, I don't love gore for gore's sake. This is one of my favorite audio description, if not my favorite audio description track of the year, because there's so much to describe. I think Corley Farjad is going to be my best director of the year. I think this is a top 3 movie for me. This movie is I'm shocked at how much I love this movie. Um, I've had the debate about like where is Demi acting in this movie because they think like because she's like got makeup on for like half of it that it's like hard to like where's the acting? I'm like, are you kidding? She has one of the most memorable scenes, if not the most memorable scene for me of the year, is the scene her debating about the date. And I think it's what everybody, and it's also the scene which, by the way, you could show to anybody. And that's the great thing about that scene is that Corley gave her a scene that is gore free, that you could cut that scene out and send it to Oscar voters who are like, I'm squeamish. And Demi can still get an Oscar nomination. It's like, watch that scene and then tell me she's not fantastic. So I think The Substance is my favorite horror movie of the year. I also really like Dennis Quaid in this. Um, I don't give Margaret Qualley quite her due because I took away from this a lot about aging and how we treat older actors and actresses in Hollywood in terms of beauty. So my immediate reaction wasn't to award beauty. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was so weird. There was one critics group that nominated Margaret, not Demi, And I was like, that's literally the opposite of what the movie's trying to get you to do. You literally proved you proved the point of the substance. Um, it's so weird. But yeah, Dennis, no, Dennis playing Harvey, stepping in for Ray Liotta like that. I feel like he totally understood what that character was, and I think it's his best performance in years. To be totally honest, he was gross, he was slimy. You know, I just he played a great villain. And I love the substance. Of course it is. Of course it's up here. It'll be on a couple of my lists. It's just going to keep popping up. You're just going to keep hearing the substance. You'll hear Nosferatu definitely again. A couple of these films I think are going to make some of my other lists when I start getting into acting and score and stuff like that. So they'll be back. But yeah, that's horror for 2024. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.